you for participating in our third quarterly DE meeting of 2023. I wanted to say thank you to the High Performance Driver Education Program sponsor, Pirelli, and we have a good number of participants this evening, so thank you for taking your time out of your personal schedule, your family schedule, and sharing that with us this evening. As Laura mentioned, we will have this presentation recorded. We are also going to submit the PowerPoint, so any URL links that we have in the presentation will be available to you as well. And let's get started. I continue to receive questions from DE chairs or chief instructors in regions who are not receiving my e-blasts and invitations to this event or to our continuing professional education events. So I just wanted to reiterate that you in that role need to be listed at PCA National, and that would be done by having your president contact Charlotte c@national.pca.org. You may have, for region presidents out there or zone reps out there, you may have more than one person put into a particular position. So if you have more than one DE chair or more than one chief instructor, you may submit multiple names to Charlotte to be added into those roles so that they can receive any notification from PCA National. We have a exciting agenda this evening. We have some general updates, some more developments on instructor training and continuing professional education. We've got a little bit of information on our track experience program, and I will be addressing several questions that came in through the Google form during the registration process. So the first update that I'm sharing is that the national procedures, the region procedures manual has been updated because there was nothing indicating how long tech inspection forms for DE had to be physically retained. And this did go through the committee that updates the procedures manual and the manual of national policies and procedures. They're two separate documents. So I just wanted to let everyone know there that the tech inspection forms must be retained for 95 months. The liability waivers had already been listed in our policies and procedures manual as well for 95 months. And if you had any further interest to research those policies and procedures manual, this particular document retention section is on page 72 of the RPM, the Region Procedures Manual. I would be aware that a lot of the DE chairs may not even be familiar with these documents. Even as president of PCA Potomac, I was familiar with the Region Procedures Manual, but had not really thoroughly read through the manual of the national policies and procedures. So I do recommend that you get in touch with the president of your region to share that RPM with you. You may have access to it. I'm actually not sure if the DE chairs and chief instructors do, but it's under the forms and documents section of PCA.org, and you need to be logged in to see those. So again, if you would like a copy of the RPM, please contact your region president, who should be able to share that with you. That's an update on the document retention policy. Marking your calendars for December 4th is our last quarterly HPDE webinar of the year. I also wanted to make myself available to your regions or zones if you would like me to present 15, 20 minutes at any of your upcoming region or zone meetings, I would like to offer that service to you. I have even hosted what is a DE 101 virtual webinars for regions, especially in the off season for those regions who wanted to get some excitement flowing for the upcoming season and to let their membership know what a driver's education event is all about. So please feel free to reach out to me if you would like to have me spend some time with your region or zone. To that end, on the new drivers that are out there and recruiting new drivers, that's been something that I've been focused on in 2023, and wanted to make you aware that we did I think it was probably an 8 or 9 page article in the June 2023 Panorama magazine on intro to driver's education. And the Pano designer committee was able to provide me a PDF of just the cover of the magazine for that June, and then the additional pages that were part of this one article. I have it posted in the tips and techniques section of the PCA website under driver's education, but I can also email that to you directly if you would like the PDF that's just the article and the cover of the magazine. We've gotten a lot of good feedback about it, and it is a nice document, a nice article for you to share with your potential new drivers in the HPDE program. It goes through really step by step of what they can anticipate attending their first DE. So it was called Try It, You'll Like It. I wanted to thank Fred Pack, who actually pulled the majority of this together, and he was a pleasure to work with on this article. Another little announcement that had come up was emailed to all PCA National instructors on 8/2/23, and it was announcing something new in PCA called PCA Motorsport. And I did receive many emails inquiring what is it, and basically it's coming from the club racing section of PCA, and it is an opportunity for the HPDE community leaders, instructors to have access to any benefits that the PCA National sponsors of club racing are providing to our membership. And it's also going to include news and stories about motorsports in PCA as well. Connor Henderson, who is a paid staff at PCA National headquarters in Columbia, Maryland, is the club racing business manager. This is falling under his reign of trying to help share some of the exciting things that are going on with our sponsors. I did see or hear a communication that they are going to be developing a PCA Motorsport section of the PCA.org website. I did try to find that today and was not able to, so I'm sure that our really strong website development staff is working on that with Connor, and as soon as something is put out there, I will let you know if you don't receive something directly from PCA Motorsport. So I just wanted to share that with you all. Laura, no questions yet along the way?
Nope, no questions yet. Just a reminder, if you do have a question, down towards the bottom right of your screen, there's the Ask Question feature. Be sure to pop a question in there if there's anything on your mind.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so national instructor training. I was just up in Canada over the long weekend and mailed out all of the new instructor badges and lanyards for our Canadian instructors. Can tell you that your post office personnel are heads and tails above one of the best experiences that I've had in a post office. So those should be arriving. I mailed them Friday, so if you should be getting them pretty soon. I'm sure the Canadian mail system's going well. We have finished 13 national instructor training schools, and we have 4 additional ones scheduled in the next 5 weeks. So we've got a really busy September and October coming up. So far, we've added 147 new instructors to our core this year. We are really thrilled with how the new curriculum has been rolling out. I'm going to talk about that briefly in a second, but let's get to that now. So we've got already beginning our planning for 2024 National Instructor Schools. And the new curriculum has been extremely well received. I can't tell you enough how many positive feedback comments we're getting from it. And I did talk about it in more detail our last HPDE call, but I wanted to reiterate that we've really focused on helping people learn in the manners that they have found that works with their learning style. And so we've built in all kinds of different methods of teaching, including discussions, little roundtable discussions, role playing. We have a lot of back and forth question and answers going through during the period. And of course, all of our on-track lessons, we've modeled our classroom to be 4 classrooms, and each thing that we teach in that specific classroom, they're going to be modeling out on the racetrack in their mentor driving. So we have 4 classroom sessions and then 4 on-track sessions. Even more, the people that have, or the regions that have been doing it on their own for a really long time have brought us in. I'm particularly looking at this photograph here from Metro New York. They have not had anyone from PCA National DE Committee come to their national training before. It's been a long time, and they were absolutely thrilled with the National DE Committee, whoever the trainer is there for you the whole entire day. And so from a resource management piece, the DE chair doesn't have to be the one who's in front of the classroom or has to be pulling everything together. We are an extra body or multiple bodies there to help you run this event and to take the lead on it. I can't stress enough how much we want to come into your regions next year if you haven't scheduled us already. And so I don't need specific dates that you guys have an idea for 2024, but if you could maybe narrow down a week or 2 or 3 where you might want to have us come out, so I can just start penciling in our calendar and ensuring that we've got the bodies in place wherever we need to go in Canada and the U.S. So again, the DE chairs or chief instructors can email me directly. We can talk about it if you aren't sure what it entails. If you want to learn more about it, just shoot me an email, and then we can schedule a telephone call or Zoom call to talk about it in more detail if you want further information of what it might look like. What else are we doing? We've got several projects coming down the pike. one of which is cleaning up our national instructor database, which currently, I believe now has 5,700 people on it. More than half of them don't have email addresses, and many of those are no longer instructing. So I'm going to be sending out a spreadsheet to each DE chair and chief instructor for the region, and hoping that, giving you a 2-month period to kind of go through your list if it's a big one, to identify those who are not actively instructing, so we can just make a note of that as well, and to provide contact information for those who are actively instructing. So I'm going to be asking for some assistance in that, because no one knows better than the actual regions who is still out there instructing for PCA. So thank you in advance for responding to that when I get that data sent out individually to your regions. Happy to announce that we've got our next continuing professional education module tomorrow night at 7 Eastern. Just like this particular webinar, tomorrow night's will also be recorded and posted. So if you're not able to attend, especially the 7 p.m. Eastern time is probably not the best for my folks out on the West Coast, but that is when the presenter was able to do it. So tomorrow night's presentation is on how to coach vision. And so this is really an instructor focused learning module to help an instructor help the student develop these vision skills. And so, vision is just like any other skill set in performance driving. It's trainable. And so we're going to go through all of the different pieces that an instructor should be identifying and verbalizing to help their students use their vision better. And, if an advanced driver knows, like, our eyes can just quickly glance at something and we're able to process all of that information of what it means. But a driver that does not have as much experience or on-track skills is going to have to really teach himself or herself on how to use vision to get around the track quickly and safely. So tomorrow night, if you have not yet registered for that, it is not too late. There is a link at the bottom. Obviously, you're not going to type that all out, but it was sent out to all of the instructors and region leadership within the last 2 weeks. If you can't find the email that was sent out via eBlast, please, again, feel free to email me and I can shoot that out to you directly. So we hope to see you tomorrow night. We are really focusing the National DE Committee. We had our monthly DE Committee call just this past week, and we have agreed that our upcoming 2024 planning is going to include a professional education piece for PCA instructors, DE leadership, region leadership. We're planning on doing that monthly and creating a repository of these videos that people may reference if they weren't able to attend live. Our next upcoming topic is going to be driver evaluations and using drivers' evaluations of instructors for instructor development. And so we're going to be talking about different platforms that you can use, the data and questions that you should be asking your students and your instructors during the evaluation, and talking about data sets and what you should do with that data once you have accumulated it. So we're excited about this next topic. I do not have a date for it yet, but it will be, before the end of this year, and then we will really focus and work hard on getting one a month for our continuing education piece. Okay, track experience. So this was added in the minimum standards that came out in January of this year. And we've had a number of regions able to take advantage of this new engagement tool or an engagement experience during the DE program. And I have had a lot of questions about the program, but I've also had the opportunity to speak to regions who have done it and got some really good feedback from them. So again, this is in the minimum standards. There's a lot more detail available in the minimum standards, but basically the track experience is an opportunity for you to get someone out on a live HPDE run group session in the passenger seat. And we want to do this because there's a lot of people that may not be willing to spend the $300, $400, $500, $600, $700 for a 1, 2, or 3 day event because they have no idea what to expect. So this is an opportunity for regions to get someone to the race circuit and get them in a car in with other drivers, registered HPDE drivers, to just see what it's all about. The region may select up to 3 of their best instructors, their most responsible instructors to do the driving, and we have it in the minimum standards that only 3 of these track experience registrants may be out on track simultaneously. So if your lowest run group is out on track 4 times in a particular day, you may have up to 12 of these track experience participants out on track in that one day. Some things of note are that the participant, again, who is going to be in the passenger seat, may only sign up to do 1 of these track experiences per day. So if you have a 3-day event, that individual may go, for all 3 days one time in one run group. There is a mandatory, just like any driver's meeting for drive and dine or for autocross, there is a meeting that the track experience participants must participate in. And I did get a request over the last, I don't know, probably 2 months. Actually, it was probably just a month ago, and asked if the National DE Committee could kind of put a PowerPoint together of what we want or what would be some good things to cover in that meeting. And so I wanted to thank my DE committee. One of my members said that he would begin working on putting something together that the regions can use as their mandatory meeting notes for the track experience participants. The other question that I had received was, whose car is the instructor going to drive? We have it written into the minimum standards that it could either be the student's car or the instructor's car, but obviously you would want to ensure that if it's an instructor's car, that they have the proper restraints, and the participants are required to be in full, helmet, whatever your region's clothing requirements are for a DE. Again, if they're in an instructor's car and the instructor has harnesses on both sides, then the student must also have a neck restraint device. If it's the student's car, just all of those things as part of the organizational process need to be identified before they arrive on track. So if anybody has any questions about that, actually I'm going to pause to see, Laura, if anybody has asked any questions about this one.
There haven't been any questions about that yet, but there have been a couple other questions. So let's go ahead and go through those if you want, and maybe somebody will ask about it.
Okay.
So one question was regarding the lanyards that you mentioned. Are those available only to the new instructors, or are they available to existing instructors too?
That's a great question. The new instructors are provided those as a thank you to going through our new instructor training program. I had a budget from my Pirelli sponsorship for just new instructors. However, on the National Instructor web store, any instructor who's done it in the past may purchase one with their national instructor number and their region and their name on it. I believe the cost is $20, which includes shipping to either Canada or the US. And I've had several regions buy bulk orders for their instructors. So if you are a chief instructor or a DE chair, there is a discount depending on how many you order, and it's a even bigger discount if the headquarters office sends them in bulk to like the DE chair for him or her to distribute at their next instructor training, their next DE. So just know that if you are on the call and you are an instructor, you have received information about our web store. If you can't find that, email me and I can send that to you. But the very first thing when you go to the instructor web store is a button that just says instructor badge, order instructor badge. So it's the first thing on there. And we have distributed quite a bit of them to individuals and to regions as groups.
Great, and let's see, we have another question regarding the new tech inspection form. Question if it really needs to be 2 pages long and if there'd be any way to condense that just to the logistical issues of keeping a double-sided piece of paper or having to print 2 pieces of paper.
We can look at that. Why it is a little longer, the tech inspection itself didn't change, but there were a lot of regions that weren't matching up what the minimum standards were to the tech form. More likely that the drivers who are required to get the tech inspections done really didn't peruse the national standards. So they were missing things that had to be looked over. I can't see how it can be done in 1 page, but it's definitely something when we are together in November and December, our committee's going to start looking at pieces again on the national standards. We can look at that again, but I don't personally see it being condensed back down to one page with a font that people are going to be able to read.
Makes sense. And then it looks like we have a question regarding a couple slides back. So the question was, would the student's car need to have a full tech inspection done?
Is that for track and experience?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
So that's listed in the minimum standards, specifically in section 9E, where it says that the car must pass the on-site safety inspection that is done by either the zone tech inspection team, or if it's a region event, the region inspection team. And a lot of the regions that have done that have just had those cars go through the morning inspection that goes through the tech line in the morning, but you can also assign one of your tech people to go through the at-track inspection checklist to ensure that that car is going to meet that standard. Remember, it's only one session in the lowest run group, so it's not like the car is going to be going through an entire event multiple days.
That it does not need to be done that 30-day in advance piece of the tech inspection. So it should be looked at by your on-site tech people like you would do in the beginning of every event, but it does not require them to have 30-day tech inspection done by a third party.
Okay, that makes sense. And that is all the questions we have as of right now.
Okay. And again, if whomever asked that question, I'll get a list of who asked the question, and I can follow up with you specifically along the way if I have further things to add. We are at the Q&A portion. I did ask for questions in advance, so I would be prepared with answers. I think I did a fairly okay job for the impromptu questions that were out there. But it does help me because there are so many moving pieces to have questions in advance. So I am going to address those questions because your regions may have them as well. So first question that I received was, are there any programs available to assist a small region in hosting a DE event as far as the financial requirements? There is nothing from National at this time specifically for subsidies for hosting a DE only event. I have on the screen, and hopefully that you can see the event subsidies that are available from PCA National to the regions. And I am referencing the region procedure manual as well, because this was something, even again, as I was president of a region, stuff that I had heard about, but I didn't really know a lot about until I sat down one day to actually go through and read verbatim, word by word, of all the stuff that was out there. And so I would not expect a DE chair or a chief instructor to know all of this nitty-gritty stuff. But there are some things that you could do. So the first thing that I would suggest is getting a sponsor. And there are a lot of if you have a Porsche dealership or you have mechanic shops or any of your sponsors, that you can go out there and really hit the pavement and see who might be willing to give some financial subsidies or sponsorship income for a DE program or a DE event.
The next suggestion that I have is to co-host a DE with a region that's nearby. So I've seen this done very successfully, even within my own region. New Jersey and NJR, Northern New Jersey's co-hosted events with us. PCA Potomac's also worked with Allegheny region. We worked with the Mid-Ohio region in the past and just co-hosted an event. With that one region has to be the region in charge and submit the insurance request and the observer forms and follow up with that. But that's something financially where two regions can split the costs and the income and any revenues that come from it. On the national side,
from PCA, if you co-host with another region that's adjacent to you, and you have a DE and some other activity, so you can look at that there's a multi-region 2-activity event or 3-activity event that gives you some subsidies. This particular person had mentioned that their track cost was $10,000. So obviously, $750 isn't going to give them the financial backing to cover a full track day. That is something that we currently do not offer. If you build into your DE day a charity or community service piece, there are additional funds there. We've done that. I've done that before in my region, and these little bits do help out, especially if you're trying to do something where multiple programs within your region can participate at the track. I particularly am really fond of a program that my region, Potomac, runs, and it's called Porsche Fest. It's at our July DE event. We're fortunate that our track has multiple tracks on the campus. Our home track is Summit Point Motorsports Park, and they have 3 tracks. 2 are training tracks. So we host autocross, we host skid pad, we have a drive and dine that comes up in the afternoon, and they then pay for parade laps at the end of the DE day. All of these activities culminate in a barbecue dinner at the end. So it's an opportunity where we rent the DE actually rents the track, but we have multiple programs within our region that are able to take advantage of the track during that time. And so registration costs, obviously, and I can help with that, trying to put together a P&L, profit and loss for a track, and what you need to charge for your registration fees, etc. But I think that answers your question. It's not probably the answer that you want to hear, but that is where it stands presently. I do have a lot of documentation on sponsorship and how to get sponsors. So if that's something that you're interested in, I can send that out as well. Okay. Next question that I received was, what innovations are being made to the DE program? Well, that's a pretty loaded question there. Innovative, like Twitter being changed to X, etc. I mean, I don't have a lot of blow your mind innovations that are happening to the DE program. On the national level, our role is to help you develop your own DE programs, and a lot of the things that I've already spoken to about tonight were some of the marketing efforts that we can do to help you market your region's programs. Is continuing professional education innovative? I don't know, but we've never done it before, so it's new to PCA. We've talked about the new Try It Out programs that we built in this year, which are new. Again, I don't know if I'd consider them innovative, but we've not done them before, so it is a new offering to you. We are working on, again, one of the, I've got 3 things that I want to accomplish for next year. I already talked to you about the one continuing the development of our existing instructors, and really determining who they are and who's active. The other thing that is on our list, or my list to do, is providing classroom material to regions out there, to help them provide this education piece to their drivers. There's some really, really great instruction going out in the classrooms there, in regions, and there's no reason whatsoever why that repository of classroom materials can't be distributed or available to regions who want to improve their instruction to their students in the classroom while they're at the DE. And so, I talked about this a lot in the past, that we are an HPDE program and the E is education. And so we are differentiated by those for-profit driving organizations out there, because we're really there to help the driver grow and develop his or her skills and really become a better driver. I don't care how many days on track you have, you don't stop learning. And if you've got a really vital classroom program out there, you can develop, or you'll have access to materials that go from your basic novice driver. And a lot of regions stop teaching when they're become solo drivers, and frankly, in my opinion, that's when they need more classroom. They've got to understand the more technical pieces. They've got to understand why their car is doing things on track and how their pedals and feet and hands all work along to make sure that you get around the track more quickly and equally as safely. There's a lot of really good content out there for advanced classrooms. So is that innovative? Again, question mark. I'm not sure, but is it something new for PCA? The answer is yes. And the other thing for the national level is, I'm super excited that I've got 3 regions who are holding DEs in 2023 that have not held a DE in a decade or longer. And so, we've worked hand in hand with helping regions start a DE program or bring back a DE program, because there's a lot of continuity lost and knowledge that's lost if a DE program dies. So, Lou, I hope that answers your question. If that is not specifically what you're asking, I will follow up with an email as well. Okay, track experience. That's the program that I've just talked to you about. I think it would be helpful if we could offer advanced run groups, white or black, to the more adventurous participants. Randy had added on to that the registrant passenger would first go through green and then blue and then white and black and red, whatever your run group colors are or naming schema is. But I did answer him specifically that by that time, if they're going on 4 or 5 different sessions, that it defeats the purpose of what the track experience was developed for. And that was to give a potential driver an understanding of what it is we do on track, understanding really apex, entry, exit, understanding the passing procedures firsthand. If we continue to give them these passenger rides, per se, in these higher run groups, we're not closing the deal on them as a driver. That, in my opinion, is switching what the track experience program is supposed to be. The goal of the track experience program is to matriculate that passenger into a registered driver at the next event. So that is not something that we're going to see, but I wanted to explain my reasoning why. We're almost at the end. I just wanted to reiterate, I do continually get questions about the insurance and why it's so important for any participant, any guest, anybody that's in a paddock for any of our events, why they need to sign the waivers when they come in. And that waiver enables that person to have access to our insurance coverage. I did put in here that the tech inspection forms have emergency contacts, and that's a really important piece of the tech inspection form, and there is some more detail of waiver language that rides along with what the waivers are when they register or come on to the paddock surface. It's a pretty comprehensive insurance. I'm going to let you read that there, but it does cover any injured participants just by signing our waiver. It provides this. In 2023 so far, I've received 187 insurance requests in the HPDE world, basing that on a couple hundred at each event. That's a lot of people that we're covering with PCA's insurance. I always reiterate what's not covered if a car gets damaged by participating in an event, or if the car causes any damage to structures, guardrails, that type of thing. That is not covered in our insurance. For those of you who have access, any of the leaders out there, the region leaders, there was a really great webinar by our legal counsel that's under the region focus section, and it talks all about our insurance coverage in much more detail than what I just spoke about. I wanted to thank my amazing committee, national trainers, as well as my national DE committee members. I wanted to thank all of you volunteers, because without you, we would not have a DE program. This was a really fun event. While Rose, I was attended in May, was their first DE program in I don't know how many years, but they worked really, really hard, and all their efforts came to fruition in a wonderful day in Calgary in May. That is all that I have, and I have 10 minutes to spare, but I will answer any additional questions that may have come in. Laura, if you have any.
Yep, let's see, there's another question here. Question on where the advanced classroom materials are located on the PCA website.
Yep, that is a project that we have planned for 2024. They are not existing there now.
All right, and then there was another question on insurance, asking for some more details, and I would just stress that people review the specific webinar we did on insurance, and then if you have any questions, your zone reps know a lot of information about the insurance waivers, and that would probably be the best place to start if you have specific questions on the waivers.
Okay then. Everybody, I can't thank you enough again for your time. I am so grateful for all of your volunteerism in the HPD world. And if you have any questions, you know how to get me, HPDE Chair at PCA.org, as shown here on the screen. I wish you all a great evening, and I will see you in December for our last quarterly webinar for the year. And Laura, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Mia. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Have a great night.